Hi everyone, today I will share with you a vulnerability that I found in UNAM Command and Control Server that helped me expose hundreds of thousands of victims that were infected by this malware campaign. And as you can see, UNAM is a credential stealer and a keylogger that is considered to be stealthy and undetected. Now it's also worth mentioning that UNAM is a Malware-as-a-Service infrastructure, which means that there are many different users that can just buy this service and use it against their victims. We'll start simply by going to tracker.virback.com, which is a website that contains many different kinds of C2 servers that were exposed. As you can see, probably the most recent ones are still up and running. Let's look for our UNAM, and as you can see, plenty of results. Let's take the most recent one, and we get this UNAM web panel page. For a black box approach, I tried first to use some authentication bypass methods like SQLi, or as you can see, this is PHP, so I also tried type juggling, but nothing really worked out. So I moved on to FOF, or to DIRBUST for some interesting endpoints, and here you will see the results. First, you can see here that we have this DB with 4 or 3, which looks pretty interesting always, and this API with a different result. Let's try here to access the DB. As expected, 4 or 3, and API eventually redirects me to the same Apache forbidden page. I tried different methods for bypassing this 4 or 3 page, but nothing really worked out. I had this theory that under the DB directory, we will have goldmine of information, for example, configuration files or credentials or even backups of the database. So I had to test for a different approach. And as I said earlier, UNAM is malware as a service, which means that there are many different users. Chances are that at least one of them made a mistake and exposed his configuration files or had, I don't know, maybe a bug in his Nginx or Apache configuration file. Now, the result that we want to get is to have at least here under this path directory listing in order to have the exact names of the files under this directory, and then try to access it and bypass this forbidden page if we will access directly the files with the absolute path. So the way I did it was to just look for this source code of the page, look for some strings that will be interesting enough to assure me that it will be only in UNAM lib.js, for example, it's only in UNAM web panel. So I took it into FOFA using the body, and now I have a query that gave me back more than 300 results. I took the first one, for example, to see if the query is good, and yep, I get the expected result that I wanted. Let's take this one, for example, to the FOF. And we will filter the results to have only the best. And as you can see here, DB and API, they both give me 301, but this time the sizes are the same, they're identical. So it's a good indicator that if I will try to access DB, I will get the same page, just like API, which is also forbidden, this time on Nginx and not on Apache. So let's move on to get some more interesting servers, and let's try this Russian one. I'm sorry, here. And we get this UNAM web panel again. Let's take this into FOF, and I say again the expected result that I want to see is a different size in order to see an indicator that I can access the DB and to see directory listing and not this boring 403 page. And here we have it. As you can see, the same status code of 301, but this time the sizes are different. So let's try, for example, go to API, and yeah, as expected, we have this directory listing that we wanted earlier. Let's go to DB, and now we have the exact name or the absolute path to access this file. So let's see if we can download it. And yeah, we have the UNAM web panel.db, which is an SQLite DB that we can already open. Let's go here to, let's put it a bit bigger, and now we can open it and see the tables. And as you can see, we have the tables of the database. If we will look for the schema of miners, we can see that it contains very useful data like IPs, usernames, computer name. It might be super helpful in order to expose other victims of the same campaign. Now, I won't expose here the results and the content of the tables because I won't offend other victims and expose them here, but let's take the same name here and use it also on this server that we had this forbidden before, and see if the absolute path may give me the file. And yeah, as you can see, now we can access the UNAM web panel DB, and this is a serious vulnerability that helped me expose, again, hundreds of thousands of victims to help them to get rid of this campaign. Now, in general, this method of using many different servers of the same product is extremely useful because, again, chances are that someone made those mistakes of configuration files or even exposing sensitive data that might affect other products as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye-bye.